How's it going, guys? My name is Lord Nick, and I bring you another episode of the Dangerous Game Podcast. Supposed to release one last week, as I was just telling Sark. Turns out that a part of that file got corrupted. Too big or something. I'm not sure what corrupted it. It just didn't end up working. I could cut that piece out, but it was right in the middle of one of our big conversations, so it'd just go from one topic into the middle of another one, and so I could cut out an entire hour and a half of the podcast, and then we just have a semi-abbreviated thing, but it didn't. Anyhow, this is the new episode of 24, 25, whatever it is. So, how's your week been, Sark? Been a while since I talked to you.
Dude, I'm actually glad that one didn't work. I felt like we were just talking about random shit the whole time.
Yeah, we really got off topic, and this time around, I kind of have an idea of what we want to kind of keep to based off of what we talked to at the end of last one.
So my week's been so good, dude. You know why I haven't been playing League? It's because I've been watching Dark. Season 3 comes out on Friday. I'm so ready.
I don't know what Dark is. Is that an anime?
It's a show on Netflix. No, it's a German show on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty far away from an anime. But
hey, I don't know. Hey, you know what? That's not that true. Attack on Titan has nothing but German names in it. So but yeah. Well, I guess show wise it's probably completely different. So you hadn't done much League this week, huh?
No, not really. I play a game here or there, but that's it.
Any of your coaching go through this week? You have to coach any of your guys or anything like that?
I drafted for them on Friday last week, but otherwise we just chilled. I think I hung out with them yesterday. I don't remember what we did though. And I duo queued with one of them yesterday.
Nice. Yeah. My week has been a lot of ranked games. I've been less than what I had been doing on when I'd sit down and do an entire day of grinding. Less ranked games than that, but for the entire week, because I'd also get so tilted from those type of days that I'd just take a day or two off. This week, I didn't take a day or two off almost at all. I just played 5 or 6 games a day of ranked, so ended up totaling out to probably about the same, but spread out amongst the week. And I had a lot better results. A lot better results this week. I think my win ratio for most of it was about a 60% win ratio, which I was super hyped with. I feel like my Skarner gameplay is going up. My overall jungle gameplay is going up.
Wait, you actually had that number exactly right. Your last 20 games is 60%.
Hell yeah, dude. And yeah, so it's just been it's been a good week. Straight up been a very good week for me. And most of those games I'm getting MVP or second place on my team, occasionally a little bit lower. And even with games that we're losing, I'm generally either the ace on the team or the second highest positioned person on the team by OPG standards and stuff like that. I'm getting a lot better at a specific style of how to gank, which I'm very happy with, which is something that I hadn't been learning to do. I'd been learning how to just kind of AFK farm pretty well, and that really, I guess that taught me jungle pathing routes, but it didn't teach me how to efficiently spend my time to assist my team, right? The mentality I was getting in was I need my team to not play anything or not do anything stupid for the first 20 minutes of the game, and then we just win from there. And so now, especially with the predator buffs, I've just found myself finding ways to gank a lot more and kind of snowball the early game for my teams, which has been...
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's been a lot different. My damage output has been terrible, but my CC score and my ward score have been really high. So, and my kill participation's been about probably somewhere between 54-55% kill participation this week. So that's been nice to have.
Wait, did you watch the C9 game at all?
Which one?
Yeah, the first one. The one where Blabber played Olaf.
Oh, and he had a 40 kill or 40 CS lead over Svenskeren.
But he had the most CS in the game,
Yeah.
And the highest level as the jungler.
Yeah.
Without being mindlessly fed or something, he was just clearing so fast.
Yeah, he had 3 kills, but he was clearing almost both sides of the jungle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was
I didn't even
nuts.
know you could farm that fast.
I mean, you gotta have effective pathing. I mean, Olaf. If anybody could do it, it would be
Yeah, I
Olaf,
think it
right?
was all that was a
Like,
big part, right?
like
Yeah, the champion.
he has an aggressive pathing, and then also that champion just lends himself to just clearing the multi minion camps really fast and the single ones really fast. So like, it was impressive. Like it was a stomp, but it was impressive nonetheless.
I
And
haven't seen someone the highest level jungler
in a
that
long
quickly.
time,
Yeah, in a really long time.
it's yeah, because usually jungle's like at least a level behind, and if they are ahead, they're ahead early on, and then they lose it kind of in the mid game.
Pretty much after level 3.
Like they might hit level 3 first, they might hit level 4 first, maybe sometimes, but like after that, they're usually because they have to back about at an awkward time, and then everybody else gets ahead of them. But yeah, no, I've watched a bit of the LCS this week. I watched quite a bit more. I was super disappointed with Dignitas. Like I feel like they have a lot of the opportunities to be not the worst team, but like their drafts are been god awful.
That game against fucking was it CLG? That
Oh,
was
that was horrid to watch, dude. It was so horrible to watch. I've watched all the Dig games, and not a single one of them can I say I'm a proud Dignitas fan. Like, I am a Dignitas fan. I have not been very. I now know the pain of CLG fans. Like, it is very bad watching this and being like, damn, like you guys. But like, it's even worse because it's like we have big names on the team. Even like we have Froggen, we have Aframu. Like, Johnson's starting to make a name for himself. He's actually probably statistically still one of the better ADCs in the league, and the team's just not performing. Like you, I think a big part of it comes down to like just from having watched Acadian on previous teams. Like they're drafting him like he's Mike Young, but like playstyle wise, he plays like bruisers, and yet you're putting him on like Nidalee and stuff quite often, and he doesn't seem comfortable on it. Like he doesn't seem to know like how to pressure it perfectly. Like he's good. Like don't get me wrong. Like there's no way I can do it. I don't have the damnedest clue how to do that shit on Nidalee. So when I'm watching him, I'm like, it's really bad. When I'm like, that's about what I would do. Like I shouldn't be thinking that about an LCS player. Like, like we've already established, I'm not a very good jungler. I shouldn't be thinking like, yeah, that's about what I would do, and then watch him die, and it's like, oh, maybe that's not what you should do. Like, like that shouldn't be the thoughts going through my mind. And it's like, oh man, like it's so hard to watch it. Like it's like I'm surprised he's not like on Pantheon, or they're not trying to get first pick Graves or something that. Like the one Graves game, he kind of seemed to not be the problem that game, and then they just like the team itself just implodes. Also, like,
wait, he played Nidalee again?
yeah, he played in Italy today, and
Oh,
they actually got an early lead started, but it wasn't a big enough one to like get them ahead, and it was a sad game to watch them lose because like they got dragons, but they weren't going for Rift Heralds. He picked Nidalee into Trundle, and just never had an opportunity to kill Trundle. Like there was never a situation where it looked like he could just go in and kill him. He wasn't harassing him all the time. Like he was stealing jungle from him, which was good. But like he never actually put him at a deficit because as he would go to steal something, Trundle would just back and go take the other side of the jungle before Nidalee got there. Like it was just there wasn't like he wasn't putting a whole lot of pressure on him. Like as much as it looked, it just made him like, oh, I have to back, and then he's not like capitalizing on making him forcing him to back and stuff. So it's just it was a little sad to watch, and their team comp. I think a bigger problem like may have not been Acadian as much even in that game. Like he did about as good as he could, I think, in that situation. What really upset me was watching that Viper went full damage Volibear into an Ornn, and guess what? That went about as well as you'd expect it to go.
yeah.
Which I mean, like, hey, cool. You have a Nidalee, a TF, a Thresh, and a what did he play as ADC? I don't even remember what he was playing as ADC on Johnson today. I think it was Ashe. And it's like, cool. You have a decent engaged team, and then your Volibear, who should have gone full tank, decided to go full damage. Like that was kind of a weird choice. Like that just seemed like a really stupid choice. And also, if he wanted to go full damage, I was very surprised he didn't go like a Doran's Ring to try to harass the Ornn more early. He went a Doran's Shield, which generally indicates that he's not trying to fight, which means you wouldn't be building a damage item, you'd be going towards a tank item because you're not going to like extend a lead this way. And it's not like you're going to get a big like spike on like your item is expensive. Ornn's first tank items just make him harder to kill. Like, there's never a point you're going to kill him, so just going damage just didn't make sense. Like, it really confused me looking at that. But, anyhow, away from LCS, back to the stuff at hand of talking about, personal experiences this week. Um, have you noticed a big... Well, you haven't played much, so you might have not noticed this. And you're also slightly higher elo than me, so you might have not noticed this either. A massive increase in, like, just inters. Like, I know I was talking about it before, like how I ran into quite a few inters, but, like, I've run into even more of them this week. Even though I've had success this week, we've had actual inters in my games that have either let me win a game or have immensely ruined a game for me. And it's happened another 3 or 4 times this week. And, like, prior to last week, outside of just last week and this week, I hadn't seen an inter in months. Like, I'm seeing a higher statistic of them a lot more recently.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't really feel like it's any more or less. Seems like the same amount.
well,
But I also don't play as much as you.
uh, true that. You also are playing normals, so I have been running in.
Oh
So,
no, I just went in rank too.
yeah.
Actually, wait, I played. If you count like my Smurfs mode and stuff, I play like a decent amount, and I
Okay.
feel like I haven't really had an issue with that.
Hmm. Maybe I'm getting reports. I don't know. Um, but I've noticed in normals there's a lot more ragers even now, and I was just like, it's normals. Why are you raging? Like, what? Like, this is the for fun section. What are you doing? Why are you mad? Like, I don't know. It's been a real weird increase in that for me. It seems, but in terms of personal performance, uh,
I didn't say that, but I actually got tilted today and flamed someone a little.
oh, oh, what do you do?
We were signing up for. I didn't even care that this happened, but then he typed in chat and it annoyed me, which was why I responded. But we were on Soul Point, and so the jungler and I went and set up, and then he, the jungler and I already had position to like set up for Soul,
Mm.
and then he randomly went, or he got killed because he tried to stop the Fiora from split pushing instead of he was playing Quinn. He was Quinn top.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like using his ult to come to us and just get the drag that we already like got vision control of, he went to the Fiora and then died, and then pinged us and said that we should go to him, not where we were, and that we need to play around him, and that we shouldn't have been a dragon. And then I already got annoyed from that. And then like something similar happened where the Fiora kept split pushing, and I was really fed on Echo. So I said that I'd deal with the Fiora, because
Mm-hmm.
she was on her inhib turret. And then when I went to go, he followed me, and it was the bottom inhib. So I didn't want to show 2 people bot, or else they'd start Baron, because the rest of the enemy team was on the top side.
Yeah.
So I left, and then he immediately died to Fiora. And then when I told him like not to go to Fiora, that I would go to Fiora,
Mm-hmm.
and he just went to Fiora anyway. And so I just got triggered, and I called them retarded for going when I said that I'd fucking stop the Fiora from split pushing, so that we wouldn't have to commit 2 people. But then after that, like, he danger pinged me, and I got annoyed. So I called him retarded, and that I don't need his fucking pings. But yeah, that was it. He added me after the game, and then we ended up playing some flag. He was cool. And I said sorry for flaming him, like when he added me. But
So
we ended up winning the game.
nice. So you said something that, like, with that flame, that kind of reminded me of a game, man. Oh, dude. So this is a game where I thought, like, my team overall, we were playing really well. We ended up doing some big throws, but it came from the most fed people on our team because they overestimated how fed they were, right? Like, it's one of those situations where, like, oh, we kind of stomped them, but, like, we also, like, they fucked around for so long that it just, like, it became much closer than it needed to be. And then they made they made a couple bad calls in a row, and they were mad because the team wasn't following up on the bad calls, but, like, the three of us that didn't follow up on it were just like, well, we're also the ones that are making the plays. While we don't have the kills yet, we are making the plays. And then the other two that were the ones making plays, the Zoe and the Volibear, ended up getting as fed, but dying less and participating in kills outside of the ones they were getting kills for. Like, overall, between the three of us, like, we were setting up for the kills much more than the two that were initially getting the kills. And so we were calling for neutral objectives, right? So, like, the situation that occurred is we got all of their outer towers down, and we had gotten 4 kills, but we didn't have a wave in our top side. We had half a wave on our top side, and 3 of us had just gotten the final kill in the jungle, and so our Zaya had already moved over to start trying to push that wave, but there was like a 20-second timer left on somebody there. By the time the 3 of us got there, we would have gotten tower and gotten out. And so Baron's up, and so we made the call, hey, let's do Baron. Like simple call, like, let's go to Baron. 3 of us agreed. We're close to it. Zaya can meet us there. We get Baron, we back, and then, like, we reset and we'll reposition and just shove them in, and we'll probably win off that shove. So Zaya says it, like, ignores us, so we go and start the Baron. Pike starts spam pinging us and then starts typing in chat, what are you guys doing, you fucking idiots, like, blah, 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 blah. You guys could get inhib off this, and it's like, we were, like, at the enemy blue buff right in front of the Baron pit. Like, we weren't even close to the tower, so, like I said, by the time we got to the tower and got the tower down, their Ezreal and I want to say it was their Zac were going to both be up, so, like, their 2 most fed people would have been up at that point, and it's like, no, like, we can't, like, even if we, like, try to fight them there, we fuck that up. Like, 2 of us are half health. Like, it's just a safer play. Like, right, we're just calling for the safer, easier play here to set up for one final push to win off of it. So Zaya gets caught, dies. We barely are about to finish the Baron. Note, about to finish it. We have Infernal Soul. So I'm not thinking about the fact we have Infernal Soul and forgot that it's just going to randomly add me a bit of burst. So I'm doing it perfectly fine. And then all 3 of us hit it at the same time and proc our Infernal Soul, and it drops from 1k to 400 HP. And before I can smite, this is unfortunate timing at the exact time the Ezreal ulti hits all of us and hits the Baron and steals the Baron. So it was just like a shit ton of bursts all at once, and I was just like, oh shit, that actually happened. Zoe's like, dude, like, I didn't think that was going to happen either. Pike's flaming me at this point. Oh, you guys didn't go for the inhib, you didn't end the game, you could have ended the game off of this, and you didn't get the Baron, blah, 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 you guys suck. And he's like, alright, dude, like, calm the hell down. 1, all 3 of our Infernal Souls triggered, and it dropped from 1,000 to 400 HP. Any jungler that didn't think that was about to happen, like, who didn't just, like, oh yeah, like, 5 brainless know that that's about to hit all at once, is probably missing that smite. Just, like, timing-wise, it was a horrible timing for that to go off for us. So it's whatever. We're going to go try to contest. We're going to back, get vision, and go contest the Elder Dragon that's about to spawn. So as we're contesting for Elder Dragon, I see a pick. And I rush in, I grab the pick, we get the pick kill. They start trying to focus to kill me. I flash out, I'm safe, I'm regenning from red buff. I come back into the fight. During this time, Zaya's mispositioned and put herself in the front line chasing after people. She ends up killing the Ezreal and the Jinx, but dies to the Set. So that what's left is now their Set and their Zac. I'm making sure my Zoe can get out, so me and her are backing up. Volibear TP's in. We go on to the Elder Dragon. We're getting Elder Dragon almost done. Now, here's something that I went and rewatched the replay on, because I lost Elder Dragon to the Zac, who didn't have Smite, and I smited it, but I looked at it. It was a fucking millisecond to a millisecond and a half difference, as his auto was just about to finish its animation at the time that I smited. And so because they connected at the same time and smite registers instantly and the auto takes about a half a millisecond longer to go through, it gave him the dragon. Literally at the exact instance that I smited, it counted his as the last proc to hit it. I went back and I rewatched it like 4 or 5 times. I was like, there's no way I missmited this. Like, I know I smited it and he didn't smite. Like, I saw my smite went on cooldown. I saw the health the dragon was at. I looked at it and I was like, his animation finished the second my smite hit.
Wait, which game was this? Is it in your match history still?
Yeah. So this is a defeat. It's right above the Volibear victory, way down. I was 8-8-23. And it was one of the saddest moments I looked at. I was like, dude, this is like, it was mistimed by like half a fucking millisecond. I brought it down all the way down to a quarter movement of speed. Like, I watched it like so many times over. I was like, I was so upset with this after the fact, looking at it, because I was like, man, I damn near perfect timed the smite based off of the fact that I saw he was autoing, right? Like, I big brained this, like, he's gonna auto. I know he doesn't have smite, but as soon as that auto goes through, I'm gonna smite it just to make sure I get it. And I mistimed it by just a fucking fraction of a goddamn second. I was super upset. Well, Pike starts going off. Oh, you're shit. Blah 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 blah. Zaya starts going off. Blah blah. They're a duo. They're pissed at all of us. So, like, both me and Volibear die. Zoe gets out. She then goes back in and dies again. They start pushing in. They don't get the end.
Oh, right. You said the dragon, right?
Yeah. And then there was like one more fight after that somebody else got caught, and then we all lost, and like the game ended. And so this Pike and this Zaya come out of this game, and they're just raging at everybody, like flaming the team, blah blah blah. You guys are the reason we lost. Now note, if you look at their scores here, 14, 14, 13 on the Zaya, 6, 12, and 17 on the Pike. When I went back and rewatched the VOD, because I was like, there's got to be like.
The Zac does have a smite. He smited it.
He smited it at the same time?
Yeah.
How can you tell?
Because his smite goes on cooldown.
Oh, so his is on cooldown at the same time mine goes on cooldown.
Yeah, you both smited.
That's so crap. I thought it was an auto. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. Okay. That makes me feel just a slight bit better. But, like... Yeah, dude. Like, it's super, super close, right? Like, it... which is the upsetting part about it. Like, I became super upset by that smite. And, so anyhow, I was looking at it, and I went through the game again, and I was like, all right, let's see where I threw, because, like, I'm super tilted. I ended the stream there for the day because of that, or it might have been the game right after it. I don't remember which. But, like, I was super upset because this was a win. This was a win that just got lost right there and then, and I was like, well, shit. So, like, I rewatched it either that day or the next day or whatever it was. And I was looking through it, and I was just like, man, like, I made some mistakes here or there, and there's some small throws here or there by me. Like, okay, cool, I probably could have done this at this time, or I could have done that. Like, I could have pushed here, I could have helped shove the wave there. But it's small things that were just, like, incremental leads. Like, if I was in a higher elo, it would have been punished more. It's something that really, like, most of my mistakes in this one were just, like, some small stuff like that. Most of my deaths were around my team. They weren't, like, me going in and just, like, hard turbo-inting or anything like that. So, like, I thought that as an improvement, but I went and re-looked, and I was just like, how did these guys accrue so many more deaths than everybody else? Like, because when we were team fighting, like, the only two people that were dying were Zaya and Pike, but it's like, they didn't die in every team fight. Like, there were team fights they survived. Like, how were they dying? And I went and looked, and they were just trying to make plays by themselves, like, a lot. And, like, they just kept dying, and it was just like, wow, this is phenomenal, like, gameplay to watch. And it was just one of those games that it was just like, wow, like, all right, three of us were playing to win that, and two of them were just impatiently trying to force the win. But we had a guaranteed win. But, like, they gave up so much shutdown that, like, Ezreal got back into that game. Ezreal was down quite a bit at one point, and he came back and got full items. Like, he was ready to go.
Oh, wait, you missmited.
Did I? Did it hit him? What happened?
No, you smited at 875. Your smite's 850. Yours goes on cooldown before his.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
But you're off by like 20.
I ended up doing a hero Baron steal a little bit after that, but.
Yeah, that's pretty unlucky.
Yeah,
You were off by like 25 damage.
yeah. Well, that blows.
Wait, you guys were so far ahead this game. Holy shit.
Massively ahead. Literally, the Ezreal collected enough shutdowns that he got to full build and just started killing our team.
Alright.
This is one of the saddest. This is one of the saddest throws I've ever had. Because at our max at 29 minutes, we were 7.5k up, and like we drew down to where they were up by like a small amount. Then we got up to another 2k gold, 2.5k gold lead, and then lost it all again. Like, oh man, this was.
Alright, I forgot. You didn't even smite this one.
Which one?
You know what did the burst damage that you didn't see?
What was it?
I think it was the Zoe.
Oh. I thought it was Infernal. I chopped it up to Infernal, so I didn't rewatch that one. I just assumed it was just all Infernal procs or something.
He throws a Q.
Oh.
His Q lands when it's 808 or 900. Her Q lands when it's 900 HP, and it goes down to 300.
There it is. I was like, I knew it was about like.
And then right as hers lands, the Ezreal ult is touching it.
So.
Or about to touch it.
Yeah.
So you got super unlucky. Yeah, it wasn't okay. You know the pop.
Because I thought that's what I thought when I was playing it. I was like,
yeah,
why did it just lose all of its HP? Like it was. I was like, there's no way Ezreal ulti did that much damage.
Yeah, the pop was the Q from Zoe.
Okay.
Plus the Infernal animation with her Q.
Okay. I was so confused at the time because I was like, that just popped from almost 1,000 and down. Like I was timing that. I was waiting for that. Like, what happened? Yeah, there was a couple plays that happened like that where I was trying to do something and then like Zoe pop, like damage would pop on something. It was just like really.
It was the other way around the dragon. If she had waited like half a second, your smite would have been perfect. Or not half a second, but I meant if her Q did like 10 more damage, you would have had the smite.
Yeah. I was trying so hard in that situation to not fucking miss smite again, and this time I was watching super carefully. And then, like, I ended up doing a really good Baron steal at about 37 minutes. About 37 minutes, I jumped into the back of the pit and stole the Baron. And, like, at that point, Pyke and Zaya were already tuned out and didn't give a shit anymore. Like, he actually rage quit when I missed the Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, that was a game that popped up into my mind of, like, I didn't get salty in chat in almost any of my other games except that one. I got real salty with that fucking Pyke and Zaya, dude. Like, I got super fucking mad at the two of them. I was like, look, dudes, like, I get it. There's some misplays here by me, Zoe, Volibear, like, everybody at a point here or there. But you motherfuckers literally threw by just playing your own goddamn game and not playing with the rest of us. When the rest of us were making the calls that were the safe calls that would have netted us the win, opposed to just throwing kills to the Ezreal. Like, Ezreal came back because of shutdown gold that he was getting off of them, or off of, like, because they're dead, like, we're down people, and so now we're, like, stuck in misnumbered fights trying to stop objectives or something. Like, literally them getting killed so often, like, towards the middle, towards the end of that game, just really kind of threw a lot of those fights for us. And the fact that they just wouldn't, like, they wouldn't listen to anybody but themselves. They only thought they were making the right decisions when the rest of us were making, like, Volibear would make a call and it's like, oh yeah, that's actually a solid call. Let's go with that. That's a safer play. And it's just like, why take the risky play when we have a lead? Like, we already have established, like I said, at that one point, we were at 7.5k gold up. There was no point for us to need to take any risks. Like, we have such a cemented lead at this point that as long as we don't take a risk, we win in this. I then had a couple other games later that we ended up with some pretty inting individuals in my team, some very toxic people in my teams. A couple of my losses.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was a Grandmaster on the enemy team last game.
In your last game?
Yeah, it's 35 and 12 in ranked. Gold 1 playing against Diamond 4s.
Well, he might be a master player at least.
Yeah, no, my top laner, the guy who added me said he added him too and asked him what rank his main actually was. And he was like popping off. He was the only reason why they actually had a chance.
Dude, I hard carried some irons in Clash yesterday. That was funny.
Nice.
So like I got invited by one of the guys that was watching my stream, and I was like, yeah, cool, yeah, dude. He's like, hey, do you mind coming and playing with me and my buddies? We need a person to fill in the jungle role. And I was like, I was just about to start painting a mini, and I was like, fuck it, yeah, sure, I'll come play some Clash. So I'm gonna go play Clash with them. And like he's like, I was like, so what rank are you guys? He's like, oh, I'm silver. And I look, and he's like silver 4. It's like whatever. Well, I get in. His one buddy who's a top main is Iron 2, Iron 3. And the support player who duos with him is Bronze 4. And I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to invite one of my like really skilled friends in here because that's going to be a problem because they needed one other person. And Disciple just jumped on. So I was like, Disciple, come play with us. So one, I was super impressed with Disciple. He is getting particularly good at control mages. Not like to the point where I was just like, man, he's obviously like going back up to diamond, but I think he can honestly make it into mid to high gold. Like he's actually showing a huge amount of improvement in it, and I think it's just he's sticking to things that he likes to play and he's good at. But like in our first game, he really helped me. I picked Tarek, FYI. Game 1, they banned out my my Skarner and my Trundle. We didn't pick anything for me in the second rotation. They banned out Kayn and Volibear. I was like, okay, like I don't really play Kayn, but that's weird. But the Volibear, I could see why. And so I was like, okay, so I guess I'm going to be going on whatever here. And I looked at their comp, and I was like, their comp has Maokai, Wukong, Lulu, LeBlanc, Ashe, and we have last pick. And they're like, what do you want? What do you want? I was like, get me Tarek. And they're like, Tarek? What? No, there's no way we're getting you Tarek. Fucking Disciple who's seen me play, he's like, yeah, get him Tarek. Like, he's super hyped to see me play Tarek again. So they grabbed me Tarek. And Sam came in and was watching this, and he's like, man, you sound bossy throughout the entirety of the game. I micromanaged the living shit out of these kids in that game 1, dude. Just like, I put my W on the Singe, and I was like, run. And he's like, where? I was like, at them. And he's like, okay, so he's running at them. I was like, press your ulti now. He's like, what? Press your ulti now. And so he presses it, and as soon as he does, I press E, and he runs right at somebody, and it hits them, and I was like, flip them, and he'd flip them. Like, I was just directing them on how to play their champions as we were going through this game. Soraka, press R now. Like, I was just 100% like, all right, guys, we're going in. We're doing this. We're doing that. And, like, micromanaged them down to the point that the game, at about 10 minutes in this game, or actually, for the first 25 minutes of this game, we were down gold. At 25 minutes, I have directed them to so many kills getting back in our favor that we just skyrocketed and ended the game with a 10k gold lead. Like, I just micromanaged these irons into beating the shit out of other iron players to the point that we won. Like, and I went 3-1 and 22 on Tarek, dude. Like, it was one of the most fun, like, micromanagey games I've ever played. And then the next game showcased exactly why they're all low elo, because they just decided not to listen to me that game. Like, they listened to me, like, dead on, like, nobody argued, nobody did, like, I played 4 people the game before. This next game, I was stuck playing me at a deficit for them playing them. Like, they all lost lane, just, other than mid, they all were just turbo-inting, basically. Just hard, like, oh, we're on our comfort champions now, like, we know what to do, and I'm like, hey, don't take fights unless I'm there. They're all going in when I'm not there, and then when I am there, they're not stepping up to go in. Like, it was bad. It was real bad, and I couldn't dig them out of the hole, and I was like, alright. And then the last game, I just hard carried on Skarner. But, like, legitimately, the first game was the most fun I've had in Clash in a very, very long time. Like, it was single-handedly one of the stupidest performances I have ever given, because, like, I kept going in for these shitty-ass, like, cheese ganks that were sometimes working, most of the time not, doing flash plays to go in, doing super aggressive shit, and not being able to be punished, because every time they would, I'd have my ulti, so it was just, like, unpunishable, stupid plays that were just, it was just so much fun. it It was I don't think I've had that much fun in League in a very long time.
Nice.
But
That's good to hear.
yeah, and then like I guess that helped get my morale back around. Like that alone helped just kind of boost my morale back around because that's what I went on my next ranked spree and just started like going off on Skarner again, and um, I just enjoyed it. And then like my teams were actually really nice guys most of the time, chatting with most of them and stuff like that. Like it's been this week has been a blessing for my mental state in terms of League of Legends mental state at least. It has been a lot better because even in like the pits of despair that was that like 5-6 game losing spree, like I had a feeling like I could turn this around. Like I wasn't like outside of the one Singe game where I went 2-12. Uh, I went 2-12-17. My job was not to get kills that game in the end. It was just kind of running at people and setting up our Yasuo at a hard carry. But I like outside of that one, like I felt even in the ones that like we lost or I did less well in, I was still playing predominantly well. Like as the day went on, I was playing worse, and that's why I stopped. But like I still felt like I was playing to a better level than what was my previous norm, right? Like that norm where I was getting into that rut where I was just constantly losing games, couldn't figure out how to carry, constantly bitching about how like I couldn't figure out what to do to get past the limitations that were being set by my champions or my pool or how I played. And like I literally the biggest change I made was ganking bot lane at level like learning to just gank bot lane at level 3. I take my blue buff, I go around near mid that area around the dragon pit, and I come down through the enemy jungle into the bot lane. And I just do that pretty much every time I hit level 3 on Skarner. And I almost guarantee either a kill or flashes or both. And it's just like I've been able to snowball so many more games because of that. Just this
Nice.
just this one small gank adaptation. That or I
Was
camped the living
there,
shit out of a mobile mid laner.
did
that
that screw up your top lane at all? Or not top lane, top side? Like,
like my topside clear time.
yeah, or like have you gotten punished for it? Or when you do that,
I've
have
only
you
been
punished
punished twice for it, but it was never like a big enough punish that it kind of screwed me,
yeah.
right? Like because I also can see it coming. Because the biggest thing, the stupid thing that they do when they do that topside punish to me, is they take my spire, so that it instantly lets me know that they for sure done it.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that's really nice. Like at least for Skarner, that gives me a lot of advantages in low elo. At least it's like in as you get higher, it's expected that they're going to do that punish to you, right? Like even just getting into plat, that's a punish that I see coming. But like in gold, I don't know if they're going to do it or not. And then playing Skarner, I now know if they do it or not because they always, if they punish, they always take the spire. Like they never don't because they want to know when I get there, and they want to make my clear on that side slower, even if I don't decide to show them when I'm there.
Yeah.
So because of that, like I just take their spire and start taking their bot side. Like I was like, you already know I'm down here, so there's not actually a point for me not to take it, and I just vertical jungle at that point. like, and, and so I end up not getting punished nearly as hard.
Well, it has to be a jungler that doesn't clear their bot side then, right? That's what I meant.
So no,
'Cause,
so like I'd had like an Olaf that did it to me and a Munda that did it to me, and both of them tried to
uh,
clear their bot side, but like the Olaf unfortunately got dicked on by me early on. Like he took a bad trade trying to gank our mid, and then I had already backed and gotten an early predator because something happened on a bad level 3 gank bot, and so when he made his first gank mid at level 4, I got there and chased after him with my predator, and he flashed and I killed him without burning my flash.
oh, okay. So your path is get level 3 off your bot camps, and then
So
gank bot, and then that's what I meant. Where do you go from there?
so my pathing is I start red no matter what. Like I always start red. Red is on bot side or top side. That's where I start because one, it heals me up more. Two, it helps me clear the multi minion camps even more efficiently, where I don't have to burn as many pots to do it. So start red. I go to chickens. I go to wolves. I go to blue. And if that paths me to the bot side of the map, I go gank bot. If not, I look for a gank mid, or I look to pressure somewhere to get vision. Like if I can't see, like if I'm on the side of the map, like I go from red, if I end up on top side of the map and there's nowhere up there for me to look for a gank, because sometimes there's a place I can gank top there and force a flash off their top laner and just help my top out, or I can do that mid. I look for that. If I can't do that, say I'm on blue side and I can't do that, what I do is I invade towards their red and I take that spire, because the big thing that does is, one, if their red hasn't been taken, it does tell them I'm there, which generally pulls their mid laner towards me. Not always necessarily their top laner, but it pulls their mid towards me. And then I just run past their mid laner. Like, I don't fight them, I just run away, because I'm fast as fuck, and so I don't give a shit, and I just run away. Like, I don't stay there, I don't steal anything, I just tell them where I am, and if they're over there, I see them, because the spire tells me that they're there. Like, I get this bloom of vision real quick. So if they're there, I get to tell my team where they are, which makes my top side play safer. And even though it gives up my position, I learn their position. Or if they're not there, I can ping the shit out of my bot lane and be like, hey, they're not here. And so, like, even though it gives up a little bit of information for me, it gives me a ton of information to play with for them, and potentially pulls the pressure from my mid towards me, and I just get out safely. So that's what I do for top side if I'm on blue side. If I'm on red side, right? Is red side the top or blue? I don't remember. Anyhow, if I start red and that's the top side of the map, then I look for that level 3 gank towards bot. And then if I kill them, I back and I go back, and my pathing from there is go to Krugs, chickens back up, take chickens, go down, do wolves, do Gromp for the first time, and look for dragon. Or gank bot again. Or mid.
Yeah. If you're on the top side, or if red buff is on the top side, I think that's a normal path. But the part that throws, or that I feel like you'd get punished for, is if you're on blue side and you start red buff where it's bottom side. So you'd have to go red. Wait, or if you want to gank bot.
My pathing is always red to chickens. If I want to gank bot, yeah. The problem is when red is on the bottom side of the map, it's a much harder situation for me to gank bot unless my bot has no priority.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how would you get to bot at level 3? Because I feel like you'd be on the top side of the
I
map.
can cheese level 2 bot, like, sometimes, and I change my path. Like, if I know they have a strong level 2, and they can probably set up for a gank there, what I'll do is I'll take red, and then I'll do my Krugs, and then I'll set up in the tri-bush and wait for them to hit their level 2, and then I just run in and we force flashes from them, and then I can path back up towards my top, and I'm pinging to ask what my top or my mid if they have the ability to walk over there and put a ward down. If not, generally, the stupidest thing that a lot of junglers in gold have been doing is they'll take my spire and then do my blue, which means I have time to come over there and potentially smite it from them. Like, so, like, sometimes the punish that they do doesn't always punish me. Or sometimes they come in and try to force a fight on me, and then I just force them to use their sums to chase me, not kill me, and then we're both, like, sure, they're going to take my blue and stuff, but now they've forced their flashes, which means that's generally their way to, like, secure kills and ganks and stuff.
Yeah,
they can't do it.
I think I just misunderstood. Because I thought you meant that you always.
No, yeah. So whenever I'm starting red on the top side, I always look for that bot gank.
Okay, that makes sense.
Otherwise, I path towards top, and like I said, I look to try to invade on their side of the jungle, not to fight, but just to get information.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you start bot side with red buff, I can reach bot at level 3 easily.
Yeah,
like, on the top side of the map, you'll have to run all the way down, and by then they're probably level 3 also. So
yeah, it's not beneficial to do it there. Like, if I go for that, if I'm looking for an early gank and red is on the bot side of the map, what I'll generally do is I will try my best to somehow force their mid laner to burn flash. And the best part about this meta for me right now is that there's a lot less Zeds. There's a lot more Talons, a lot more Syndras, and a lot more TFs, all of which fucking suck against Skarner ganks. like Syndra, oh cool. If she doesn't get the stun on me, like if she just knocks me away, my Predator catches up to her and she dies. She doesn't get to get away from me at that point. She has to hit the stun. But if she's hitting the stun on me, if my mid laner has any CC, she gets CC'd and dies anyways. Like Skarner is really impressive at beating up immobile people who have like one person stuns.
I don't like that everyone's playing TF.
I like it because I can abuse his laning phase, because nobody knows how to play TF laning phase very well at this elo. and then if they fall behind, their ganks mean nothing. Like their TF like ulti flanks mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I just don't like it because I played TF mid before it was cool, and now I don't want to play TF mid anymore.
Yeah, dude, I'm loving seeing Talons too, because of that small nerf to his wave clear. So like they have to take a little bit more time to like they have to push a little bit farther to clear the wave, which means they're farther away from the walls, which means I just run in with Predator again and they're dead. Like, oh dude, the Predator cooldown is so good. I love the new Predator so much. It's made me rekindle like a love for ganking as Skarner opposed to just trying to hard farm on him. And it's the Predator is so so good. I love it so much. Like I don't know if you I think I told you about the changes to it that just made me love it was just the ridiculous low cooldown on it is so good.
Yeah, you told me about
I've also figured out a new fit for my runes. So like I was abusing the new what do you call it, the new unflinching, because it's really really strong.
it.
But as I've been seeing more and more AP mids, I've just been defaulting to revitalize, just because that little bit of extra shielding it gives you when you're below 50% HP just means that people miscalculate the damage on you by like 10 HP, and then you're fast, so you run away. Like I've survived so many things that I should not be surviving just because of that slight increase in my shield. Like I've had so many plays where it's like I've lived with 20 HP, and it's like if I didn't have revitalize, I actually would have died there. Like it's it's so nuts just how little that adds up to saving your life sometimes. And it's disgusting. My build path, like, it's really funny too. So, like, because I do that, I almost always have mercs now because the thing that kills Skarner is CC. So, even if they have just a little bit of CC, you want mercs. If they have no CC and they're all AD, that's the only time I get like Ninja Tabby. But if they have even one person with CC, I always take mercs. Like, no matter what, I'm always taking mercs because my first item's almost always dead man's anyways. So it balances out. Like I don't end up taking that much damage in the end, anyways. And Skarner actually has a pretty high base 80 armor scaling. Because with like just dead man's at level like 9, I have almost 180 armor. So
That's pretty crazy.
yeah, it's pretty nuts actually. Just like somebody was looking at it and they're like, "How are you this tanky?" I was like, "Conditioning and Skarner." Like that's basically all I can equate it to. He has kind of a nuts amount of armor. And so, like with Merc Treads and then a Negatron Cloak, I'm almost unkillable. Like it's really hard to actually net kill me without having multiple people have to focus me down. But then I also build it so that I'm so fast that like that's damn near impossible. Also, neat little cheese trick I found out is if I ulti somebody and then press Predator, because I have them locked in on me right that, if I'm running away with them, I actually get a speed buff.
Nice.
I don't know why it counts it that way, but it's really kind of neat. I like it.
Wait, so how many games did you play this week total?
I want to say probably about 30, 35, which is probably quite a bit less than my usual games total.
You played 35 in a week? Holy shit.
Yeah, it's probably a bit less than my normals. Like, there's also some normals and Clash and stuff, but like in terms of ranked, I think I've played about 35 this week. Because my Skarner went from being about a couple games below my Trundle number to being about 25 above it. So
33. Holy shit. You've played more ranked in 1 week than I have in the past like 3 months.
lol. Yeah, dude. I play almost exclusively ranked, so like my ranked amounts is going up. I think actually my Skarner stats just went back up. I think I just actually got back.
Wait,
Yeah, back in
Skarn,
top 78 again. Hell yeah.
your Skarn is above your Trump.
Yeah, dude. I've been playing nothing but Skarner for the past couple weeks. This week alone, I played almost exclusively
What
Skarner.
what was it at when you talked about how you were gonna focus on only a few champs? How far below your
Um,
Trump?
It was probably about 40 games below Trundle at that point. And I mean, I kept with Skarner because I was consistently able to keep above a 60% win rate with him. In Trundle, I was struggling to find the same amount of impact with him because he doesn't offer that strong, hard amount of CC.
Yeah.
Which the hard amount of CC Skarner offers just allows me to dummy proof ganks, right? Like, I can almost stop my teammates from missing a kill by just being able to do that. By just being able to lock somebody down for 4.5 seconds. Which is where I think there's a lot of value to him opposed to a lot of other engaged tanks. Like, even Sejuani doesn't have the dummy proof that Skarner has, and, like, she has quite a bit of dummy proof, but I think, like, hers still requires some skill shotting. So there's still a lot more ways for them to outplay my CC opposed to Skarner, where it's like, you gotta outrun me or kill me before I get to you. Which I build him flat tank, so it's almost impossible to kill me before I get to you, and then I just drag you back to my team for you to die.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like I've also gotten really good at playing him in team fights where people are like, "Oh yeah, you're a tank, so you're obviously going to be going all in and trying to put some damage and CC down, and you're just going to constantly frontline." It's like, nope. I engage by forcing them to focus me, and then they chase, and then you guys kill them. That's it. That's strictly how I play Skarner in team fights. And then once they've stopped focusing me, I look for a way to get in there and CC the shit out of whoever's focusing my. Like, I go in with the initiation of I'm not actually initiating, and then baiting people into a fight. And then as soon as they focus my ADC, I go to that person and I drag them past my ADC so that my ADC can kill them without having to worry about being so close to the rest of the fight. Like, seclude a small fight to the side where it's just me and them. And then the two of us can re-enter the fight because now they're down a person.
Sounds like a reasonable way to do things.
Yeah, and it's been working out really well. As long as my ADC is not, like, exceptionally brain dead, it works out pretty well. Like, they literally just need to know how to right click, which some gold ADCs, I will have to admit, don't know how to do that. But, like, as long as they know how to do that, they're pretty much safe to go. It's about a 4.5 seconds that person that I am focusing is going to be locked up. Unless they have a QSS, or if they have a flash to get away from me before I can get my last stun combo on them. Also, the 4.5 second stun combo is a little bit finicky, so I found that even though it's better to, like, throw the E out there to slow them, ulti them, drag them back, and then you stun them, and then throw your E out again right as their stun's up to try to stun them again, there's a small window of outplay there. So while, yes, I only get about 3.5 to 375 seconds of cooldown if I do E sting, then R, and then E sting again, it's still there's less outplay potential for them. There's less of a window for them to get out of it. So it's a slight, you lock them down for slightly less time, but it's more effective time that they can't do anything, if that makes sense, right? Like, the potential amount of time, at least.
Wait, so have you been playing mostly solo?
Yeah, I haven't played with any duo.
That's good.
Yeah, that was another big thing, is I had to rebuild my confidence of playing by myself now, which was hard to do. Like, I was getting so brought down by the fact that I couldn't win, that I was really becoming very demoralized. And then this last week really changed that. Also, like, my Skarner KDA went up astronomically by comparison to some of my other champions. My average kills is about is about 3.5. It's slightly edging towards 4, and my deaths are coming down to about 4, and then my assists are going up to about 11. So, like, I'm almost to a 4.0 KDA on Skarner. Like, I'm not quite there. Like, I think about another week about my current play, and I can get it to about that.
Almost to 3.
Well, I was at 3. Did I go back under it again?
Yeah, 2.9.
God damn it.
6.
I was above a 3 for about 4 games. I was at about a 3.2, I think. So like I was edging closer and closer to the 4. I think the last game or two really kind of, there was a few games in there that kind of killed my KDA a little bit, but
I think it was the ones you lost to Demont right before you won again.
a couple of the ones that I lost really fucked it, and then one of the ones that I won recently, two of the ones I won recently were about a 2.7 and a 2.57. So those ones kind of tanked it a little bit. But yeah, my overall performance on him in general is doing better, and because of that, I'm also learning to do a little bit better on just in general on my ability to think about how I need to path stuff. I'm also recognizing things that enemy junglers could do, and reasons that enemy junglers are doing it, other than like, hey, that's not an optimal plan, but it could be optimal based off of who they're duoed with, or if they know how this certain person plays, like certain things that they're doing that it's like, that doesn't seem right, but then you're looking at it and you're like, actually, there's a better reason to be doing this, and that's actually a smart play. Like yesterday, I was versing the Nocturne in the last game that I won. He did that early gank on the set, and I was like, why would you do a level 2 gank? Like, he went from blue straight to red to a level 2 gank top. And I thought about it, and it's a set Mordekaiser. And the way they set up that wave was stuck at Mordekaiser's tower, and Set could not get near him. So he got a free to level 6 on Mordekaiser, which meant that he could then shove out, and there was never a chance I could go up there and gank him. It was a super smart play to make sure that this Mordekaiser was ungankable, by doing this one small thing that screwed up his pathing a little bit, but I wasn't really necessarily in position to punish it either, right? Like, I wasn't in position to go and punish him in any way, so it ended up being this super safe play on his end, unless he fucked up and got killed by the set, to just guarantee that the wave was frozen right at the Mordekaiser tower until Mordekaiser hit 6. And then Mordekaiser hit 6. And just for added kicks, they got a kill on the set. Which I was just like, when I started talking about it on stream, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why would he give up? Like, because I went down there to path towards his blue to try to check towards his blue side, and everything was up except blue. I was like, the fuck? And like, I killed his Gromp really fast. I was like, that's a level 1 Gromp. What the fuck is going on here? Like, why is everything set at level 1 here? And I look, and he only had 8 farm. I was like, he literally just skipped this. And then like, I started playing through the reasoning, and I was like, that actually was a super smart play that just prevented me from being able to do anything to help my set out. Like, I was like, holy shit. And I just realized that was the Fiddlesticks whose ass I kicked the game before. All right, cool. We had a middle sticks that was the middle sticks from the game before, and I was like, his name looked familiar, but when we were loading in, him and one other person showed up as Summoner 1 and Summoner 3, so I didn't know if that was actually who it was. And then we got into game, and I was like, okay, so this guy is playing middle sticks. I just had a middle sticks that had a very similar name to this guy, and I look at him, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's him, and I didn't check. And then I checked it, and I was like, oh, it was him. Like, the game prior to that, I punished the living shit out of him with my Diana. Like, every time, like, Diana's like, I can't kill him. I was like, don't worry, I'm coming. And so he'd go into his stuff, and he'd use all his stuff on Diana, and then he starts trying to drain the two of us. I was like, no, and I just E him and stun him, and then we kill him. And it was just like, all right, cool. It doesn't matter how tanky you can be when you're there. I have CC, so you don't get to drain anything. It was an abysmal game for him. And then the next game was just as abysmal, so, like, he's just learning how to play the tank Fiddlesticks. But, I wonder how he did after that. Oh boy, he lost quite a few games after that. Oof. But yeah, so like, but anyhow, like, yeah, I felt like this week was overall, like, I'm making a lot more improvements and like, I can notice it too. Like, I'm noticing these small things that I wasn't noticing before. So it's just I guess it's just some gradual changes that just kind of happen.
It's actually interesting to hear, considering sometimes it feels like you play so much, but I'm not sure if anything changes for you.
It depends. Like, so a big part of it also was I was going on autopilot a lot. Like, a lot. I watched a Coach Curtis video where he's talking about, like, things that he was learning from coaching people in gold, plat, diamond, and even up to masters, and he's like some things that a lot of them do, and he's like you're outside the interactions with things that are outside of the game itself, right? Like who you're talking to, how you're talking in game and chatting with people, how you're focusing on like what you're focusing on, like how you play the game, your mindset. And he's like, you might come in with the expectation that you want to win, but then as soon as you get into that game, you're not looking for the opportunities of how do I need to play to this specific scenario. You're looking to just how do I play my champion, which is the same every game. So you just go into this kind of brain dead mode basically, where you're just playing your champion and looking for a mistake somebody to make. But sometimes when you're looking so hard for this one mistake in your mind that you're not like perceptive to them making other mistakes, right? Like you're not looking to them making all the big mistakes that they're actually making, so you're not capitalizing on it. On top of that, you're also sometimes if you get on a losing streak, you're so worried about losing that you're not capitalizing on even bigger mistakes that you would normally be capitalizing on. The ones that you normally are looking for, you're no longer looking for. You're just so worried about you not being the reason your team loses that you're also not the reason they win. Like you just kind of autopilot to the safe zone. And then on top of that, some of the other things that he was saying about it was just like, being aggressive is good because you can learn to be less aggressive when you have to, but it's really hard to teach aggression when you have none. Like if you get yourself into such a zone where all you do is play the safe route every single game, there's going to be situations where you have to take a small risk that you're going to miss, and it's a small risk, and then when you go to take a play that's not actually a good play, you end up taking a bigger risk because you're not looking for these small opportunities to gain advantages. You're not looking for ways to jut out and be aggressive at a time when like something you even said at one point too was like you don't look for when somebody just used their stun or when they've used their flash or their ignite. Like there's these small timings that you could be looking for that you're not paying attention to. Like you might know like, hey, yeah, this guy just used his E stun, but your first correlation isn't necessarily like I can go in and kill them. Your first correlation might be, okay, I get to farm a little bit more. Like changing your mindset slightly to punishing them for using it and not getting anything themselves off of it, right? Like they lose a lot more pressure. Like for instance, a Syndra using her stun, especially now, she uses her stun and misses. You can punish her so much, but a lot of people don't, and stuff like that. And so me as a jungle, I'm looking for that. I'm hovering more. I'm watching the lane more. So like I'm sitting to the side. I might not be farming. So yeah, I might not be actually tunneling on farming or doing farming. But I know, like for me at least, I know when I get into the groove of farming, I tunnel quite a bit more. So when I know I want to make a play, I kind of just hover there off to the side right outside of vision, wait for her to use something or wait for whoever it is to use one of their utility abilities, and then I just rush in and attack them. Like, and force them to have to use flash. Or if they don't have it because I've already done that, I get a kill. And it's like these small little things that I wasn't looking at before. Between his video, between finally some of the shit you saying clicked, and finally me sitting down and just like taking a broader perspective on things.
Wait, I actually wish when you saw when some of the things I said clicked that you told me about that, because that's really cool to hear that some of the stuff I told you about you actually kind of
Like,
understand my point a little.
it's some of that stuff that is just like I had heard you say it and I knew what you meant, but I didn't ever like. It's application of it, right? It's the application of these things, right? And that was always the point I was trying to get across to you. Was like I knew what you meant. Like I knew these things. I didn't learn new things to do in League. I just actually became receptive to applying them and doing them, and actually, I don't know why it just like clicked to just like actually look to do them. Like I think it just kind of, oddly enough, I think it came down to leveling with control key, like control macro leveling. Literally just started making me click into like it didn't make me like instantly get better, but it like made me receptive to like once I got used to it, I was like, wow, this is like consistently faster. And it like I didn't realize how much because I was so used to the other one, I wasn't really caring about it. But like I was like, this is consistently faster. And it was kind of like and I was already trying to work on looking at the lanes a little bit more opposed to just the mini map. I was already productively trying to get better at warding, which I'm still pretty good in wording scores across the board most of the time. Um, and then because of this, like, just these small things started clicking, and then watching these videos, and then actually thinking about, you know what, Sark mentioned something about this at one point, and then it was just like, wait a second, the way he mentions it, the way he talks about it, I was just like, okay, this is making more sense to me. Like the way he kind of like he just goes a little bit more in depth, and that's like, oh, it's actually
Yeah.
clicking of something for once, and then it's like, wait, Sark was talking about this. I was like, maybe this is what he meant by this, and like everything just started falling into place. It's like, okay, like the reasoning behind it clicked. Like that's, I guess that's the big thing for me is it's not always like, yeah, I know what the right thing is, but if I don't have the reasoning behind why you do it, kind of clicking correctly, if that doesn't click properly to me, like I don't do it. And yeah, I might know it's the right thing to do, but like I don't do it because like I can come up with my own reasonings for why the wrong thing's the right thing to do, right? Like based off of my own experiences. But like when I took a step back and was just watching this video just because like I knew he's a good coach, he's helped a lot of people get a lot better, and like the way he explained it was for dummies, and it's like, wow, like I was being really like
Yeah.
closed-minded on this to the point that it was detrimental to me. So
Who,
it's
who was this coach?
Coach
Person?
Curtis.
Yeah. So let's see.
Yeah, he's a YouTube. He's a guy that does coaching sessions one-on-one with a lot of different people. He recently started doing a YouTube series of coaching people under Masters and Challenger, which is what he's used to coaching, and he was a coach for the OCE for a while too. And he's done some assistant and analytical coaching across in LEC and a little bit in like Challengers Korea. So he's got a lot of coaching to him, and it just kind of like, I guess it just took a little bit of like, legitimately there was one of the videos he said something almost identical to you, but I guess because it wasn't about me, it just made sense. Like,
Right.
I,
I guess the other thing is,
also hearing that
I
other people make those same mistakes makes you feel better about you making those mistakes to a degree.
yeah, yeah, I guess that definitely is really important, right? To not feel like someone's talking to you as if you're just really dumb and no one else ever makes those mistakes. Which I never meant to say anything like that towards you, as if no one ever made those mistakes.
I was just the only person
But
you saw that made
yeah,
those mistakes.
yeah. Well, no.
Were
Well,
you the
you're
only?
the only person I was talking to that made those mistakes.
Got it.
Like, you could pull me any random gold person, I'll randomly tell them, oh yeah, these are the things I think you're doing wrong, and there'll be a lot of things. And it's not even just like in the sense of that I think that I can play way better than them or something, because you can give me a video of my own games, and I can go through them and be like, wow, I did a lot of things that were really wrong. But that's just, I think part of that is just what we've talked about before. Where like I'm just really used to like critiquing everything I do really harshly.
I think that's where you and I differ. Like, I'm critical of myself, but I don't critique myself, if that makes sense. Like, I'm always hold myself to a standard of where I want to be, but I'm not always necessarily looking at what I'm doing wrong that's preventing me from getting there. Because a
Yeah,
lot of things previously came easy to me, like Halo, like we talked in the past. Halo
yeah,
came easy to me, so I never had to be critical about how to improve my play to being towards the top level. I just had to improve on small things when I was at the top level that looked like big things because I was already at just naturally a higher level. So when I came to
no,
league and wasn't naturally at that high level, I didn't know how to get there. Like, it wasn't like I didn't know how to just break it down and start looking at the big flaws that I was making. It was like, I've slowly had to get to the point where it's like, all right, like I can look at criticism in a way that's not like a personal assault on myself, and I think
uh,
finally finding somebody else who started sharing similar opinions to you, but were about other people, really helped at least
I
get that
think
subconscious level.
I think one thing for sure that he probably does that I don't is when he explains like why he does something and why it might work. I'm assuming he's just not just a lot better at explaining, or he actually explains why and stuff, and goes through like his thought process as to why these things work.
Yeah,
Whereas like when I explain things, I don't think I really do that, and it's not because like
you've just never
where
thought about it that way.
yeah, it's like the thing we talked about before where I only know it works because I've done it a lot, but I've never like stopped myself and been like, so what's like all the reasoning as to why I did this and why I think it works. for the most part, it's just like, well, because I've tried it like 100 times, and like the 50 times that it did work, I did it this way. It's not where I'm like, well, it's because when I moved this way and I saw him use these skills, I knew that, I had this much cooldown. Like that is it to some extent, right? When it's happening, I'm not actually thinking about that. I'm just like,
It became natural. It became a
yeah,
secondhand thing to you.
yeah, exactly.
And
It's not something where I sat down and thought about it. It's just
and
I
for
put
me,
it.
I had to because I never thought about it that way.
And also, like in terms of me like coaching and explaining to someone as to why, look, like when you did this, you should have done this other thing. It's not because like I just want to tell them that, and then they ask me to like thoroughly explain why this pathing or why this trade or whatever would work better, and it's I don't have like an explanation where I'm like, well, because I know like the numbers or the champions really well or something. It's just like because I've done it 100 times and like most of the time when it works, I did this thing, and when it didn't work, I did this other thing. So I just stopped doing that other thing. Like
And to
it's
a
not
degree,
where
that's what a challenger player
yeah
will tell people when people are
yeah
like on the spot
that's
asking them to coach them, and their response is "Don't do this," and they're like, "Well,
yeah
why don't I do this?" And they're like, "Because I don't do it." And like that's just like that's how it registers for them. But if
and
you
then
give them
it's like
enough time, you give them enough space, and like give them the prompt to do it, they can write you a really in depth guide to it.
yeah
But they have to put their mind to think it through of like, so why do I really do this? And they have to break it down, and it's not
yeah
something they're
or
ready
like
to give you right off the
why
spot.
doesn't it work, right? Why doesn't it work? And it's like I don't really know. I just know that when I do that, it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and that was the same way in Halo for me. Like whenever I had to break something down for somebody that I was helping out, or whenever I was helping out some of the other guys that were pros, that like I did something that was like they're like, why would you do this? Why would you position here opposed to going there? And it's like, because every time I go there, people are expecting you there. If I go here, nobody's expecting you here. And they're like, but that doesn't make sense. Like that's a better angle to shoot people. I was like, yeah, but if they're expecting you there, they're not expecting you here. You might not be at like the optimal angle to shoot them, but you're gonna catch them off guard and get the first couple shots in before they can respond. Like it's just like it's not like I'm actually thinking this when I'm playing it, but like as I slow it down and start thinking, like actually having to think about it, it's like, well, like if I do that, I die. If I do this, I don't. Like if I do this, do that. Like it's just how do I prevent myself from being a monkey, right? Like that's that's kind of the mindset that a lot of people get into when they like get better at League is like stop being a monkey, stop doing the same, like literally to a degree, mine's a slight bit of insanity. I'm doing the same things over and over and over again, and just expecting people to like let it work to a degree,
Yeah,
right?
your
Like,
team. That's the thing where I kept telling you where you let your teammates have all the power.
mhm.
Because in most situations, instead of like trying to figure out what your teammate might or might not do, you kind of just do the same thing and hope that he understands what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes it
Mhm.
didn't work, and
Yeah.
like, and so now when I'm looking at it, the thing that I started doing a lot more as well, which is something Curtis also kind of pointed out that a lot of people in this elo don't do, ping, 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 type, ping, do something, like, hey, looking, like, give them your game plan, doing red, going through my path, going to be on top side about level about this time, uh, gonna invade to look for vision or something, or planning to early gank bot, or ping when you're on your way to bot. You know, just giving people a heads up. And if you're on your way to bot and you notice that they're not pushing up at all, spam ping the shit out of them. Like, on my way, like, fuck tons of
Yeah.
times. And then that will usually get their attention to, oh, maybe I should do something here. And their first response is looking to see where you are, so that they like whenever you do that, whenever you spam ping the shit out of somebody, their first response is I want to see where this motherfucker is and what he's doing. And then they notice, wait, he's actually coming to our lane. Oh shit, let's prepare. Like they go from like what the fuck is he pinging all this about, and then it's a oh shit, he's actually on his way. like it, you can't always just like I don't always have time to be like on way to bot to type it, like, but if I spam ping that enough, I get their attention enough that generally we turn it into a fight that we win. And like these are just small things that I didn't think about in the past, and like I didn't think it would work because I would ping once or twice and nobody would ever respond to it, so I stopped pinging in general. Like I thought, you know what, this is a thing that doesn't work, so I threw it out. But like it's just because they're stupid and they don't like people don't always respond to the first ping. We're not LCS pros. We're not cognitive geniuses when it comes to League of Legends. We're in fucking gold. So what do you
Yeah,
gotta what do
I
you gotta
actually
do
have
with a slow
somebody.
person? You gotta fucking tell them it like 5 or 6 times, so you just ping the shit out of them, and then they know. Like,
I actually had so many people where I ping them and they don't react at all.
yeah, so you just like spam ping them until they're slightly
But
angry, and then they realize that you're trying to do something, and they might actually do something, or they'll tell you to fuck off, and then you know, okay, I'm not doing this gank anymore. Like,
yeah, then it's like at least I know, right? At
you're
least I
like,
know he literally doesn't want me to gank
right, like
for
you
whatever reason in his head. He's not gonna help me.
exactly like you know, hey, look, Cassidon, we know they don't have flash and their stun is down. Let's go in, and Cassidon's response is, I don't have R. Like you spam ping him, and their response is, I don't have R. You can like if they don't have flash and they don't have their stun, maybe you can try to force it and see if he responds. But if he doesn't respond immediately, just bail out and you're safe. Like you're fine. There's no real loss to it. Like okay, cool, they know where you are. But it should also buy him some space to get him some farm. So the worst that you lose is a slight bit of your own path time. But there's nothing the enemy jungler can really do unless they were already planning to try to invade and punish you. They can't actually invade punish you. Like
Wait, which videos did you watch of his?
Offhand, I can't remember the exact names. There was the one where it was like recapping
Yeah,
everything I learned from teaching golds, plats, and something else. I can't remember the exact name of that one.
I'm trying to. I was trying to find one where he was like coaching a jungler or something.
So I didn't even really watch the jungle coaching. I would just watch the ones of like coaching a plat mid or
No, I
coaching a
can't
diamond
even
mid.
find. Oh, okay. So you're watching. I was gonna say they're like all mid videos.
He does a lot of mid stuff. Okay, here's the one.
But I guess because
Diamond
he was
player
a.
aiming to go pro was one of the ones I watched almost all the way through. Um, and it's episode 9 of that one. And the reason why is because it's focused on mentality and mindset coaching. And I watched that one, and it gave me a huge insight of how to improve that for myself. I also watched the mid jungle duo one because that was one that the team that I was on that kicked me told me to watch to try to gain some mid jungle synergy, and then he
Wait,
didn't try
they
to do
linked
any of
you
it
to this
himself.
one?
They linked me him, and I'd already watched some of his stuff, but they linked me that one, which it had just came out that day. I started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I got about halfway through it, and then I asked them about it, and none of them had watched it. And it's like, wait, so I literally watched this video for none of you to watch it? Yeah, well, we want you to take up some of the notes that he has there. We feel like you can grow from it more. And I was like, but,
I mean,
but like,
technically they weren't wrong.
they aren't wrong, but like, you're also like, yeah, but like, I'm already watching his stuff for this content. Like, if you specifically ping this for all of us to watch this and learn from it, why am I the only one watching and learning from it? Like that's what rubbed me the wrong way when they did that. Like, they weren't wrong, right? Like, I can learn from it, and I did learn from it, and I actually ended up watching more of his videos to learn even more. Here it is: why people cannot climb. What I learned from coaching gold, platinum, diamond mid laners. And even though it's focused on some of the mechanics around mid, the mental stuff and the reason and the blockages generally also refer to me as well. Like some of the things that are mentally blocking them also help me some quite a bit. And I found him quite informative. He breaks down a lot. His videos are very in depth, and I like it a lot. Like just the way he goes into this stuff is good, and just like also like that diamond one. The way he did it just is like, okay, cool. Like he's actually going ham on this guy, and the other dude's not taking a huge offense to it, even though he is personally telling this guy how shit he is at certain things. But like, he came into it with that like mindset, ready to learn that type of thing, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I need to get better. I know I want to get better, and I know I can get better. So I need to start, letting that be a thing for me. And then, like, between he also makes the comment, like, oh, stick with 3 champions, become excellent on these 3 champions, and then that's better than being good on just being okay on multiple champions. It's better to be good on, really good on, like, 3 champions. Which is why I was like, Skarner, Sejuani, and I was thinking Tarek at the time.
Oh, that's when you started that thing? Okay.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'd heard other people say it to a degree, but, like, he kind of explains why he'd prefer it from his own previous experience as a coach. And it is just like, because one, you bring something to the table in terms of the ban phase. They might ban something that you're actually really good at, which means those things that you're average at will still be on the table, but it also means that somebody else who's really good at something will have something still on the table for us, right? Like, so like if they focus ban the shit out of your 3 best champions, you're still good at those other things, but that leaves a lot more open for everybody else, type of thing. right? Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that makes sense to a degree for that mentality of it. But like, he's also like, in terms of climbing in solo queue, what this also does for you is because you become so ingrained and so good at this one champion, you you can autopilot the mechanics of the champion and start focusing on the macro sense of the game. Start learning the bigger picture things. On top of that, you get to start learning the smaller nuanced things that are outside of just the champion that refer to all of the game as well, right? Like, how can you position to trade things? You can look for when somebody does something like use their CC ability, and now that you know that they don't have a way to clear themselves out from it, you can force their flash easier, which allows you to have gank potential easier. How to set up, you can start looking at how, setting up your wave in one way opposed to another way allows you to do different things because you know the basics of wave setup. So like you push it to here to roam, or you pull it to here to freeze, but like you don't necessarily think about how that affects you in terms of being able to fight them even, right? Like sometimes that's not what you're thinking about. Like it's just these kind of explanation of like learn it to the core that part of it becomes second nature to you, so that the harder things are things that you can focus on. And I liked that mindset to it, and so that's why I started one tricking the shit out of Skarner. Um, and it's working. Like I can't
The
say
most
it's not
important,
working. Huh?
the most important part, right? That it's
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Because if it didn't work and I did all this change, like that's a horrible feeling, right? Like it's a horrible feeling that you
Yeah.
make all this effort, all this change, and then nothing, and then it didn't work, and then it's like, oh fuck, maybe I suck. Like at that point, you have to like realize like either I suck or this guy's a shit coach. Like one of the two.
I mean, it could be both.
Could be both. Um, but then like just these small things, like mount it up, and like I have made a lot of small improvements in a 1 week span. Now these aren't things that I can just do off the cuff half the time. I still somewhat have to focus about on them quite a bit, but my focus is much more on the game itself opposed to like now when I'm bitching about shit, it's not about how this champion's broken. It's not about how these stats are overtuned on this stuff. It might be, there might be a quick bitch about, God damn it, I really hate this champion. But like most of my bitching and griping is, why would you choose to do this? Like it's more about like weighing the pros and cons on something more so than just how is this, like for instance, the biggest thing that I bitched about yesterday when I bitched about it was when the set died level 2 after he knew Nocturne was there. That was the biggest thing I verbally bitched about at that time, which previously I would just bitch that it was like, oh, you died, I wasn't in position, like I wouldn't have seen what happened necessarily.
Yeah.
Like this time I literally watched him just walk into the Nocturne that we both like knew was there. As I pinged, careful, he's there. Like I pinged it because I saw him walking towards it, so I ping it, and he still walked in and died. And then Nocturne's response to it was also, "Did you just think I left or something?" Like we're both on the same, both me and the other jungler are on the wavelength of that was really stupid of him. Like it was just like it was a mind-boggling bad decision. Like there was no real benefit from it, and it was just a it was just an odd thing, and it was really cool. Like what I ended up being kind of happy off of that play going bad, because the Nocturne's first thing he said after you thought I wasn't there was, "If you're looking to ward, just go through your own jungle next time and put the ward over the wall." I was like, he just seriously tried to help the guy who he just fucking picked on, like who just made a stupid play and he killed him for it. I was actually happy to see that. I was like, wow, this guy's actually a good guy. Like I almost added him after the game if it wasn't for the fact that he was the reason his team lost. Like he started just split pushing and not looking for picks, and he would split push, and like as soon as we showed at least one person on that side of the map, he wouldn't he would just run. So like he was netting almost nothing, and then he was never positioning for Baron. So like I just got like 2 free Barons in a row. So it just allowed us to win. It was really weird. But like yeah, so like stuff like that, like I'm I'm more or less bitching about just like stupid decision making, and I'm even bitching about my own stupid decision making. Like, why the fuck did I just do that? Why didn't I just let him die? Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm actually like certain situations where it's just like, why did I choose to do this? Like, and there's less of them now. Like I said, my average deaths is going down on him, so it's just like I'm making less stupid decisions because I'm also actively just like bitching at myself sometimes. So it's like there's even improvement in my bitching being more constructive than it had
Yeah.
been. So it's just
And the things that you can control instead of the things that you can't.
yeah, exactly. So like I am becoming better at that, and because I'm becoming more aware of that, I'm also becoming more aware of the situations I'm in. So even though I was decent at doing situational items, I'm not either overthinking it, I'm not like super overthinking the situational items to the point that I'm like building full tank Karthus, uh, but I'm also, occasionally building a QSS on Skarner, oddly enough, when the situation demanded it. like I'm paying taxes when I have to, and it's paying off in dividends in the end. Like I'm changing my build path. Like I have the same core build, but like I'm changing which of the two items I build. I'm changing if I'm going rushing one of those items, or if I'm splitting it up into like Catalyst, Negatron Cloak, and a Chain Vest, just so I have the resistances and some HP. Like I'm not just rushing an item sometimes. Like, oh yeah, I need armor first, but instead, like, even though like I'm now starting to die because I don't have MR, I'm starting to die from their magic person. Now I'm actually thinking, oh, I'll get a chain vest and a Negatron cloak this time around. Like, I'm doing all these different changes to my build path to allow me to adapt to the situation more. And a big part of that is because I'm now able to I'm actually focusing on that type of stuff. I'm not autopiloting. I'm actively seeking ways to become better and doing things that would improve my own experience, which allow me to improve other people's experience. So it's just small things that I wouldn't have ever thought would have added up enough to allow me to see a significant change in my play. Like, because, like, sometimes it's just, when you see it, you only see one or two of them. And if you only see one or two of them, that's not enough to actually make a big difference. Like if all I
Yeah,
changed was by item
I,
pathing, I wouldn't be doing better right now, right? Like,
I
but
think that's maybe part of why when I told you random small things that you could have done differently, you're like, you were so against it because it's like,
that's only
but
one thing.
yeah, that isn't what decided who won or lost, right?
Yeah, but it's
But
like,
when you add them all up
yeah, you add them all
over
up
hundreds of games,
exactly,
they
and
make it.
you don't always make that one small mistake every game,
Yeah,
but sometimes you make it enough in the crucial times that it causes a loss
well,
later down the road, or it makes a
yeah.
fight go differently, which is what loses the fight. Like, or stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
it's
we're like
just
preventing your mid from dying at this point might prevent the enemy mid from roaming with his jungle bot or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if they do die there, okay. My plan now is I know that his mid's open. Wait for my mid to get back in there, and we're gonna punish his mid for not backing now, right? Like we'll punish
Yeah.
the other mid for not backing now, so that he can't go and roam. Stuff like that. Like,
Oh, so you're not doing okay, this actually sounds really good. Remember the thing where I said like where you play and you feel like you always need to be making a play or something? Even though we're just like
yeah, so I'm tempering my aggression a lot more. Like I'm not
okay,
feeling like I have to force things. Now there are situations where it's like, all right, I actually have to start forcing things, or we're going to lose,
yeah.
and then we end up winning. Like because like I have to like I decide, all right, I have to put the pedal to the metal now, and
It's the point where if you don't make a play, you're gonna lose anyway, right?
yeah, like we're already
Yeah.
starting to
Yeah.
get a substantial loss here. We're gonna lose if we don't. Like
Yeah.
but like other than that, like I'm actively looking for proactive plays, and then when I can't actively make those, I'm looking for a proactive vision to stop their proactive plays, so that we're both in a situation where neither me or the enemy jungler could actually make any other actual impact on the game, so that if we start losing in our top side here, I don't want him like because he doesn't need to go to the top side, and it's a waste of time for me to go to the top side. I need to start putting vision down to prevent him from being able to affect my bot side. And then when he does that, his bot lane's going to be like after that my bot lane's backing up. his is starting to push forward, and because now he's wasted time and he's leaving, I can now make a play on his bot side. So it's like setting up to prevent his gank, and instead of counter ganking him during his gank, I wait for him to not be able to make one and then go make one myself type situation, right? Like I go for a long con. Like I'm playing, like I'm not playing for the right now. I'm playing for, okay, I'm waiting for this for to make an opportunity. Like I'm taking enough time out of myself. Like sometimes it's even preventing me from keeping up on farm with them to set up so that we can make sure we can get a kill afterwards. So that now we have picks and now we have an easier dragon. Or, okay, my bot lane's already backed off. He immediately rotates onto the crab right there. His bot lane's pushed in. They haven't pushed out yet. So I ping my bot to follow me, and they do because they have nothing they can do right now. And we kill him on the crab, and now we get a free dragon because he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing situations where it's just like, okay, they have a lead. Let's nullify the lead by making them make a mistake that they wouldn't normally. That wouldn't be a mistake if I did something to try to like save a situation that was already lost, right? Like, in many of these games, I'm doing that proactive bot gang because I'm getting a lot of where I'm on starting red top side games, but like the few that I am getting it where I'm starting red on the bot side, I don't always look for bot ganks, but I am looking for. It's really weird because in those games, like, I end up dominating. So that was another thing that Curtis says is dominate your opponent. Always look to dominate your opponent. Now, that doesn't always mean you're going to kill them all the time. That doesn't mean you're always going to force them to have to back all the time. But it means that you can prevent them from doing the things that allow them to win. You can start building a small CS advantage. Maybe you get a vision advantage. Maybe you're able to roam a little bit. Like, it's always having a one-up in a situation that isn't necessarily a situation your opponent can actually gain a one-up in. And look to do that.
It's doing the things that makes the game unfun for them, right?
Exactly. Right?
You don't even have to kill them to make the game unfun for them.
Yeah, make it just impossible for them to do something. Make them get so antsy that they make a mistake type of situation. Like, oh, you know what? I'm crushing it, and they're crushing me in CS, but now they're tower diving me because they want that kill that they've been hungering for, and now I get a free kill because they fucked up. Even though I'm behind, they haven't really got. They don't. They're now fighting me and a tower or something like that. Like, kind of force them into situations that are less favorable for them, type of thing, without having to push yourself to making plays all the time. And so I started looking at ways that I could do that in the jungle, things that I was already okay at or good at that I wasn't great at, and trying to evolve those, and then getting better at the things that I was only okay at. So, like, I was okay at ganking. I wasn't necessarily great at it, and I wasn't necessarily good at it, but I was okay at it, because sometimes I make the right gank choice, sometimes, but I wasn't always looking for what is the best gank opportunity at this situation here. I wasn't always looking at where do I know the enemy jungler to be, and most of the time I wasn't even just hovering. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I could be clearing Grump right now, but that puts me so far away from being able to respond to anywhere where the enemy jungler might be looking to gank. Like, my mid's pushing up right now. I need to just not do my Grump and just be hovering over here a little bit, maybe looking into his jungle to see if he's coming from top side. If not, I know he's coming from bot side, so I can position myself to come in, and after he forces probably my mid's flash and flashes after them, I can come in there and stun him and do something like that. Like, figure out a better way to counter gank. How can I affect this fight here? Like, take time to think. So yeah, while I'm not gaining a massive advantage on farm, I generally know what they're wanting to do, right? Like, I can see the situation evolving to something that would be beneficial to them. How am I going to swing it to me, type thing.
I'm impressed that you learned this much just from watching this guy.
Like, I watched some of this from him, but just because of, like, the way he said these things made me start thinking about these things. Started making me actually just, like, think about it in game, because I can think about it out of game, right? Like, I was very good at being able to think about these type of things out of game and looking at other people and being like, oh, you could have done this. When I looked at my own games, I couldn't think about how I could do that. But when I look at other people's games, I could tell them the same thing. Like, hey, you should have just been standing here looking for this, because you probably, like, you just went over here, got vision, and know that he's not there. You could have been waiting right here and just done this. Like, these are things that when I watch the LCS, I hear them saying that they could have been doing. But none of it ever clicked to apply it to me, right? Like, it just never, like, culminated into like me needing to do these things myself. This was just me like being able to look at on from somebody else doing it and being like, ah, yeah, they're a fucking dumbass. They didn't do this. But then meanwhile, I'm doing even worse mistakes on my side of not doing anything sometimes. And so like I don't know why, just like certain things that he said, specifically that diamond mental game thing, just really helped shift my mentality a lot towards it. Because it was also nice to hear somebody say that it's not a negative to be an aggressive player, right? Like I get told by quite a few people I need to tone down my aggression. My aggression's bad. Like I'm doing stupid things. I'm being over aggressive. And like that makes me feel like I'm doing the wrong thing all the time. Like I'm always wrong to be aggressive. But then he made a comment that it's better to be aggressive because there's often times that there's a play that not everybody else would have gone for that's like a 70% chance of success, but it means you have to put a risk out there to get it. Like there's still that not 100% chance of success. There's still a risk to it, but it's a low risk, high reward play that has a high enough risk that it would have dissuaded other people. Maybe it's more like a 60-40 play than opposed to a 70-30, 60-40 play. So it's close enough to 50-50 that people don't want to take it. Well, I would always take those plays, but I'm also always taking the 70-30s and the 80-20s and shit like that. And so I don't know why, but it was just like one of those things where he like encouraged this guy who is extremely passive to actually take some of these riskier plays, to start learning how to do these riskier plays. That made me feel better about the fact that I take the riskier plays and don't play nearly as passive sometimes. Like when I was on Trundle, something that I was doing all the time. But then like I got into but when he was talking about how this guy was playing passive and what this guy would explain to himself, I was like, I found myself doing that in the jungle now. Like I'd gotten so demoralized, gotten so down to the point that I just didn't know like how I could help. And this guy, this diamond player, is saying the exact same fucking things that I was kind of telling myself. Like, how do I improve? Like, I don't know like what I can do here. It's obviously my champ pool, or it's this, or it's that. Like, I need to reinvent how I'm playing. Like, he's saying these exact same things, and Curtis is like, no, fuck that. You like playing this champion, you like playing that champion. Yeah, stop playing Malzahar. Malzahar is a shit champion, but like these other three champions you like to play that you play a lot, play them. Like, stick to your pool, stick to what you're good at, find your niche, and then become the best at that niche. Like, and he's like, just because it's not good for everybody doesn't mean it's not the right thing for you. But you got to be more aggressive, and like you got to reset yourself. You got to learn to dominate and these things. Just the way he phrased it, I guess, as well, just really helped make me feel inspired. And like literally, I've seen a massive improvement in my mental state in 1 week.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy just watching you guys' videos did that much for you.
Yeah,
And also, I guess I never like explained why I thought you were too overly aggressive sometimes. And one of the things for sure, maybe this is a good analogy. One of the things for sure you do when you're aggressive that I always thought was really bad, that I never like thought about how to tell you. You're like, you're not good at like in a crazy fight or in like a fight where you're being aggressive. You're not good at like actually creating little individual moments to where you're fighting, even though there's a full fight going on or multiple people like in the area. You're not good at like being aggressive and creating an area where you're kind of fighting them individually. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not.
Like,
I wasn't good at breaking a team fight down into where it's me versus one person.
Yeah, it's like in CS:GO or Halo. I guess I don't know if it happened in Halo as much, but in CS:GO, I guess is a better analogy where like
They have multiple people, but you want to peek from an angle where it's just you and one person.
Exactly. You're peeking to where you're only trading one at a time, so that even though you're fighting like 2 or 3 people in a certain fight, you're splitting them into individual 1v1s.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like sometimes I could do it on Trundle. Like Trundle, I was able to kind of do it because like I chase somebody down to the point that they couldn't fight me anymore, and then the other person's approaching me, and I can turn and just immediately fight that person.
I don't think. But like, I didn't mean that you did it all the time, but in this situation,
most champions I couldn't do it on. There was a lot of champions I couldn't really figure out how to do that on. The only reason I could do it on Trundle is because he's a massive stat checking champion who's just really good at doing that, and I was just because I was already aggressive. Like, it was just hard for them to kill me, and I could just turn and focus on somebody else really fast with him. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I was having issues doing that. I even noticed it with Skarner. Like, I thought Skarner was just trash in team fights. Like, I was struggling figuring out how to play him in team fights. And then, like, earlier, I just explained to you how I started playing him in team fights. And it's just a fucking 180 from how I played him, like, 2 weeks ago in team fights, right? Like, how I was pretty solid of knowing his combos. I knew how he could go in. I knew how tanky I was. I knew how much damage I could take. These are all small stat things that I knew about him. But I didn't fundamentally know how to position him, right? Like, I didn't know how to, like, I knew how to run at somebody. And if I could press my R, they died. What happens in a situation where I can't run at them and press that R, but I need to be able to keep pulling that fight to continue? Like, I need to extend that fight. Well, if I do it wrong, I die, right? Like, I'm just going to die, and I'm going to just get pounded on by 4 people. So I had to, like, basically just kind of learn to just, like, go in, jut out, go in, jut out, go in, jut out, without ever really committing to the point that one person in their group, because they have to back and forth so much, just becomes separated enough that I can flash ult and run away with that person.
Yeah, it's like
right?
the neutral game.
Yeah, like I have to play that. Like I have to play that neutral zone for just enough time so that one person missteps that I can just jump on them and just get them out of there. Because as soon as I do that, I ulti them and I W and I'm faster than anybody else in the game because I haven't procced my dead man's and I have my W and I'm just gone with that person. That person's dead. And so it's just like I had to learn, like, that's how you initiate with Skarner. Sure, other tanks are probably better at, like, overall just starting this massive chaotic team fight, but Skarner is a pick champion, and while necessarily team fights aren't going to be something that he's particularly great at, like, he's not bad at them either. He can stun multiple people. I can throw my E, get into the middle of a fight, and I just start autoing everybody that's around me, and somebody in there is going to be stunned. And then I'm Wing and running the fuck away from people because now I'm surrounded and almost dead. And I'm alive now, and now my team's getting able to get into this clusterfuck. There's people stunned in the middle of the fight that just blew cooldowns trying to kill me. I'm nowhere to be found, and then all of a sudden I'm healed enough back up that I run back in there and drag somebody out of the fight. And, just learning how to, like, yeah, sure, maybe I'm not great at, like, taking these one-on-ones with Skarner still. Like, I'm not great at, like, dueling somebody in the middle of a fight.
I don't think it's, I think you might be the champion.
The champion's not good at that, though. Like, the way I build him, at least. The way I build him, he's not good at that. If you do a Q-Max and you do, like, the Trinity Force type thing, he's more of a bruiser, and that's kind of what they're good for type of thing. But, like, the champion, I found how the champion wants to play the fight, right? Like, I want to be in the beginning, like, I can be in the middle of the fight, and then I stun the shit out of people and make sure my shield stays up, and I just run the fuck away as fast as I can at Mach 10. And then I come back in and cause more chaos and, like, CC the shit out of whoever's the actual big threat. And, like, it's being able to know, like, just learning, like, okay, I don't have to play my champion like Trundle, right? Like, I don't have to play him like this, or I don't have to play him like this. Like, being okay with learning and adapting to the champion, game after game type of thing. Like, I played for a while there. I was playing Skarner the same way I played Sejuani, which is massively different. Like, yeah, they're both engaged tanks, but like I made a statement before, she's about throwing her ulti in to get an initiation, flash queuing onto that person and beating the shit out of them so that your team can kill them type thing. Or just dashing in, and then, like, I got pretty good at Sejuani too. But then when I try to apply that same type of logic to Skarner, I was finding issues because I was like, I can't start a fight. I can't initiate fights on Skarner because there's no gap closer. Like, there's none of this, and I have to run in a straight line. But if I can make them burn stupid things, skill shots or other things, as I do that little jut in and out, I found that he's much more effective for fucking up a team fight because he has more potential to stunning somebody. He's really, really hard to catch and kill. And then on top of that, I can just pull one person out of the fight, and then me and the ADC who are not in the middle of the fight can just beat the shit out of this one person and kill them. And the rest of their team's stuck fighting the rest of my team. And so while we might lose that one fight, we come back in and there's 2 of us that are full healthy that are coming into this fight a little bit late after they're down a person now. We might have lost a person, but they've taken more of the damage because they've been in the middle of a fucking chaotic fight. So, like, there's certain things that I'm learning to adapt myself to. Learning to look at small nuances of each of the champions I love to play And right now I'm hard focusing on Skarner because I'm having a lot of success on him and I'm enjoying him, which is a huge thing. I enjoy Sejuani to a degree too, but like I also feel so much more satisfied when I'm getting like shit tons of honors because people aren't expecting a Skarner to do anything useful, and I'm like the top, like I'm the biggest asset to my team, even though I'm not doing anywhere near the closest to highest damage. I'm locking down people. I'm causing disruption. I'm causing CC. I'm peeling. Like I'm doing all the things that my champion wants to do, and I'm making it look easy, and that feels so satisfying to me. Which I don't know. To me, that's a big part of what's allowing me to start liking it again. Because even now, on games, if they're close losses, like it comes down to a good team fight, and we just played a team fight bad, like I'm not beating myself up over it as much. If it's massive throws, but it's not throws that were caused by me, like I'm still playing it pretty well. Like I'm not getting mad about it as much. It's outside of my control. Somebody else is stupid. They made the throw. I might bitch about it, but I'm not getting mad about it in the end now, and that's good too. And that's a huge shift over now, even to a degree.
It feels more like the the losses are less likely, right? So you're more okay with it. Is that is
Yeah,
that
they're
part of
evening
it?
out now. Like it's
Yeah.
evening out now. I'm starting to get more wins. The losses are less because I'm playing poorly and more because like there was just like maybe there was just one
Mm.
fight where the enemy team outplayed us. And it's that's not to say I'm at like oh no, it's not to say I didn't make a mistake there, but everybody makes a mistake in a team fight every now and then. That's not something to beat myself
But
up over.
overall, you were performing well.
Yeah,
Like even if you made a mistake.
even if I made one mistake, I'm performing at a level that's better than I have performed in the jungle ever. Like I feel like I can already feel that I'm playing better in the jungle than I've ever played in the jungle previously, and that's a huge feeling, and that makes me like the game more. Even like I'm more willing to play games, but I'm also more willing to stop games when I've already been on a kind of a spree and I'm kind of feeling myself like I've already hit that point where like if I played the last game and like I feel like that's a little bit less of a good performance. Like it's not a bad performance yet, but it's still feeling a little bit lessened than my previous ones. I'm okay with stopping at that point now
Yeah.
before I start making massive mistakes. Now, if I'm losing a lot and I'm not performing badly, I might start getting a little tilted because it's like I'm not actually performing badly here, and then I go on that like 6 game lose streak like I did. But I recover from it. I don't just I'm not derailing into another 20 to 30 game losing streak again. It's a 6 game loss streak. That's pretty rough. But then I go on a 6 game win streak right after it, and so
Only
it's
the 30-game loss streak. That sounds insane.
dude, I've
Wait,
gone
how
on
long have you lost? What's your biggest streak?
two or
Do you
three.
know?
Oh, my biggest loss streak in a row.
Yeah.
Are we considering all seasons or just this season?
All seasons ago.
Okay, so all seasons, my biggest loss streak in a row was back in season, I want to say 4, which was 45 games in a row.
How's it even possible, dude?
And that was split up between 3 weeks of play. I just couldn't win a game. And then I'd come to play League, and I would enjoy playing normals with friends, and then I'd get onto the rank, and I'd just lose. And I'd just lose again, and then I'd just lose again. Like, I couldn't figure it out, and then I found Gragas, and I started liking Gragas, and I liked Ziggs, and I started playing these champions, and I just became good at them by comparison to Brand. I was playing Brand predominantly, and in season 3, Brand was okay. He wasn't great, but he was okay. I was good enough at him that I could play him pretty well, and I had like a 56% win rate, but my problem was I kept playing so many other champions that I wasn't good at and losing because of it. And then season 4, my problem was like Brand was just shit in season 4. He was absolute garbage that season. And I was just shoehorning him into everything. I wasn't paying attention to how my team comp played. I was tunneling super hard, and like I was just a bad player. And then I was getting tilted. And then in school, I was having a rough time with one of my teachers being a dick. And so between all of that, like just all culminated in me just not performing very well and had 45 game loss in a row. The most this season, I think, was almost 30 games.
Wait, what the fuck? In season 4, I was with the Rush player.
You were a Thresh player?
He was my most played champion. I had a 70% win rate though.
Holy shit.
21-9.
All right. Before we derail completely, I think I'm going to wrap up the podcast here. We have an almost 2 hour long podcast. Thank you again. I'm cool with continuing this conversation afterwards, Sark. But I want to thank everybody who ends up watching this video. Hopefully this one does not get corrupted and lost. I feel like this is a much more constructive and cool conversation than last week. And if you guys like it, I'm going to be linking my Twitch down below. You can come hang out with me. I'm probably going to be streaming at the time that you see this video. I'm most likely awake and streaming unless it's sometime in the morning and then I'm not there. Come back later. But I'll also be putting Sark's YouTube highlight channel on there for you to go check out.
I do now. On my Twitch.
Put your Twitch. Oh yeah, you're a Twitch streamer now. And I'll put Sark's own Twitch on there as well for you guys to go hang out with him. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.